Honorary Alien by James Kotsybar. Z almost screamed. It had happened again. Another man had told her the same thing, about his lightship and cosmic spacemen, and from this one she'd accepted a ring. And she would have married him. So she sighed. He was so handsome, intelligent, strong. How could a nut like that ever provide for a family, though? It's all gone wrong. I couldn't have alien space babies, she told herself, and yet some doubts lingered, or more precisely, she clung to maybes. Since this one, her heart had been fingered. No matter how far out or from above he'd come into her life, she was in love. "It's the same as with my ex-boyfriend, Jay," she told her best friend Effie on the phone. "My trouble is the men I meet are gay," said Effie, "married, poor, or dumb as stone. But your situation's weirder than mine. I really don't know what I can tell you, except to say it's not you, you're just fine. Can't think why you attract the guys you do." Effie always tried to be consoling, but this time the matter was past her scope, and no amount of friendly cajoling could lift Z out of her romantic mope. "Why," asked Z, "are the men that I find hot, intriguing, due to the problems they've got?" Ray taught elementary school and was a step in consciousness, a light being. But Z was even more concerned because he was the only man she was seeing. She assumed that he hid it from the kids, not a tale for those pre-adolescent, and Ray would probably be out on the skids if the board heard he was luminescent. Besides, he'd hidden it well from her till he chose to make the revelation. If only he'd let the issue slumber, then she wouldn't feel this consternation. She really wanted to marry the man, but this delusion didn't fit her plan. Then Ray arranged for a demonstration, for Z to see his alien nature, to prove it wasn't his machination. Z said, "All right, I'll be there at 8, sure." By 9 o'clock that evening, Z lost hope Ray'd ever be the father to her child. His show only served to prove him a dope, she thought, and thought she was being mild. First, he'd spun a piece of tape hung on a string, suspended from a lampshade at arm's length. It spun, but it could have been anything that caused it, not telekinetic strength. "Now watch, I'll make it spin the other way," he said. Z felt embarrassed for poor Ray. Advertisements. Report this ad. Sensing no enchantment, Ray used his tact and asked Z to become his assistant. Participation's how one knows a fact, he knew. In fact, she was less resistant to new ideas when she'd some role to play, and might suspend her disbelief in him, with this major barrier moved away. Ray's own private hopes would not deem so dim. Ray'd read Z's aura and rechecked all signs to determine she was unawoken. One can't disguise the way one's aura shines. She was like she for whom he'd spoken, might one day call herself an epitaph, if she wouldn't dismiss it with a laugh. Ray placed a votive candle on the floor, inviting Z to sit before its flame. He, opposite the one he would adore, as soon as she could recall her true name. "Now place your hands in front of mine, like this, but don't allow our fingertips to touch. I will have to do some self-hypnosis, just simple concentration inasmuch as it's merely projection of aura. You'll be able to feel the energy. Z, please don't play like you're some dumb Dora, and I'll prove everything I've said, really. No matter what you see or hear, you must keep focused on what you feel and trust." In lotus position, Ray closed his eyes, and in candlelight, lycanthropy changed. He took on a look both ancient and wise, as all his facial features rearranged into a mask that was both god and beast, and gave Z the impression he could see impassively as Egypt's sands at least. "Yes, I can. It feels orange," answered Z, before she knew that Ray'd not said a thing. He had begun instructing her aloud. "As you begin to feel it broadening, we'll just angle it downward to enshroud the candle flame. Now." Z was left no doubt. As she lowered her hands, the flame went out. His chin near his chest, both mouth and eyes closed. Ray could not just simply have blown it out. Z'd taken no drugs, and she hadn't dozed, nor been indulging in a drinking bout. so she guessed it had to be illusion. That was the only thing that might explain what she'd witnessed, resolve her confusion. Yet she also knew this tact was in vain. She was being inescapably brought to a truth so incredible to her that the mere acceptance of it was fraught with all sorts of identity danger. But she decided to go with the flow. What's unknown won't hurt you, just make you grow. Z, first let me confess something to you. It wasn't I who put the candle out. I only just encouraged you to do what you needed to find what you're about. A powerful aura's not half of it. Listen, do you hear the music next door? Hear the beat? You may have to strain a bit. Hear it? Does it sound closer than before? Does it shift to a slightly lower pitch the more you concentrate on listening? Z, if you weren't such an obstinate bitch, you'd realize you too are glistening with a light that doesn't come from this earth. Who you are comes from way beyond your birth. You're a telepath, but you're blocking it, so afraid of what you already know. You just slowed time, and still you won't admit you're more than Z, so Z won't ever grow. The Z you think you are shall age, remorse, and die, never achieving expression of the spirit within you, which of course cannot conform to earthly profession. If you want to waste a life denying yourself and all we are, that's up to you, though to me it does seem mystifying how you could choose such a shallow self-view for a being of your magnificence. It's like hiding from God's beneficence. You're being called an epitaph, with memories beyond this mortal frame, this repository for your behalf. For galactic eons you've been the same, yet changing, independent of all form. Whoever you might think you are is small, though it takes you outside this planet's norm. Infinitesimal compared by all you truly are and all the lives you've known. Know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. I've done all I can do. The seeds are sown, but you have to waken and come to me as only another of your own kind can. I love you more than any earthly man. Z was staggered by Ray's new proposal. Before tonight, she thought she was normal. Now she found herself metempsychosal, and all she had been to now abnormal. For just a moment, she glimpsed her lifestyle, as it would be with Ray, as his space bride. She felt that she could live with it a while, expanding both awareness and her pride. How nice to be accustomed to herself as this powerful being Ray described. She couldn't trust herself to some space elf, though, and the weird ideas to which he subscribed. No, if she belonged to some world unknown, she would have to find it all on her own. Ray, I don't know who you think I should be. I believe everything that's happened here, but whatever I did, I'm me, said Z. Born in Philadelphia in the year 1963, reared by Mom and Dad who moved out here when I was 6 years old. I'm both flattered by your offer and sad, because I think the perception you hold of me is, unfortunately, quite wrong, although I hold you in highest respect. And while I was willing to go along with everything, since I wouldn't reject any idea that I had never heard, this entire concept seems too absurd. Please understand that it's not out of fear of having an outlook that looks crazy, but I can't say I share your vision here, 'cause to me the details are too hazy, or my eyes are too human to behold the total picture. Also, let me add that I'm not ready to be enrolled within epitaph ranks, and it's too bad. I don't feel I can be what you'd expect, and I don't think our marriage could last long if that's what it's based on, as I suspect. I was born on Earth. Earth's where I belong. But deep within her soul, Z knew she'd erred. Engagement off, Ray wept, heart's hopes interred.